Legend's PC is having some issues today.
Yeah, I actually think that Legend was browsing the wrong websites.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on over there.
I mean, there was a very, very popular tweet on Twitter a few months ago that Tasteless was very disappointed that all the porn pages in Korea are blocked. But I actually think that he found a few.
Yeah.
Starting to the top left, we have our Zerg player. He's starting for Team StarTale. It is
StarTale, curious.
You ever have a problem going to a website? Talk to the proxy wolf. Hook go.
Yeah, I guess that's right. Bottom right of the map in blue, our Protoss player. Can he edge out a victory for Team AZUBU? This is
AZUBU-san.
The mountain. And
it's a very small mountain, though.
Yeah, very small. It's very recently formed. Maybe by two tectonic plates just started rubbing against each other, finding out each other's names and stuff.
22 years ago.
22 years ago, which geologically is a very short period of time.
Exactly. Curious, on the other hand, he saw, of course, what San did with Life in the last game, in game number 4 of the day. So, what is he going to do? I actually doubt that he's going to be as aggressive as Life was, probably trying to go into the late game, which is more his style.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm wondering what San is going to do because he's already accomplished the task that was in front of him, and now he's going for a gateway first in this matchup. Very rare to see, and goes into gas, of course, as well. We may just see him do a 1 gateway expand with Mothership Core. We could also see a timing attack.
Gateway first is one of the things that is really interesting in Protoss versus Zerg. The reason is quite simple. If you actually start with a Forge first, then you are very safe. You can set up the cannons and get an early expansion, but your tech will be delayed. So if you choose to go into a Gateway as your first building, your core will be much faster, which means that your entire tech will be faster. So there's the potential for being very, very aggressive while still getting an early expand. So this changes everything in regards to the timings.
Yeah, quite common is a 6 gateway push with a Mothership Core off of just 2 bases. You wall off, you make sure there's no run-bys, and you just go across the map. Use the Time Warp ability to really slow your opponent down. If he scouts you, if he has a ton of lings, if it's hard and you're not sure you can make it work, you're stressed about it, then it's really easy to just recall back home as well with that Mothership Core and try to transition.
We have the expansion, of course, now going down for Curious here. He's already in a position where we will see him with the first few queens building in just a second. And now he does not really know what's going on here. He will see the expansion. He will also kind of find out what's going on here if he sends the Overlord in because of the timing. And he sees that there is no wall at the front. Yeah. So he's at least suspecting now that there's a gateway first.
Yeah, he can see the Zealot, so that's kind of the biggest tell. Now that he sees the Zealot, he knows, but right before he saw the Zealot, he wasn't 100% sure. Now he knows, okay, this is not just a Forge in the main, this is a real problem I may have to face with a timing. So he gets gas right away because he wants to have speed out.
And the Forge first that you just mentioned in the main base, that's something that we will occasionally see if a Protoss player tries to hide the Forge and the upgrades so that he can go down a different tech pattern. The reason is that there are several timings where the timing for your upgrade is very important and very telling, so some players will try to hide it, but in this scenario, of course, it doesn't come into play, as the gateway first has now also been spotted.
Ooh! Barely does not save the probe. Oh, and the Ling gets away for now, but it's a very short-lived escape, probably.
That is definitely a good start. You always want to trade 2 Lings for a probe. That is definitely something, especially in the early game, that is working to your advantage.
Plus the sky information you got, the probe will actually fight.
Yeah.
Takes it out, but
that wasn't a fair fight.
No, absolutely not.
I won't credit that probe at all. That's not a hero probe right there.
That probe was just got the finishing attack. It was a kill steal, basically.
Yeah, that was the last hit.
Yeah, gets about 16 gold for that one. But the probe over here at the third base sees that there is no third base, and he could also use that for a forward pylon. He blocks with the pylon now.
And one of the things how you can see that this is actually not Dota 2 is that there were no flames from the teammates in the second where the probe was going for the kill. In the Dota 2 game, the first thing that would have happened is that the other probes would have been like, oh my god, what did you
OMFG, lots of question marks in the chat. Yeah. Noob. So Stargate is coming down a little bit late here. San is faking aggression.
By the way, I think that what I just said can be misinterpreted, so I just want to throw something out there. Dota 2 is much better than LoL. Thanks for listening.
I won't comment.
You don't have to.
I enjoy both games, and StarCraft is my favorite, though.
Oh yeah, there is no doubt about that. I mean, StarCraft is still my favorite esports game. Not ever, because I think for me it's on par with Warcraft 3. but Blizzard RTS games will always have a special place in my heart.
Yeah, they have like 2 special places in my heart even. Or maybe even 3. I lost count, but this is a great fake aggression by San. He's not even committing to this.
Oh wow, and actually he's going to take down at least one of the queens if he is determined, and he does it. That is really awesome, but the Lings suddenly are in there, and that's not what you want, not at all.
Wow, this is so perfectly done by San. He's going to lose his pylon, but that's fine with him. He actually can recall home at any time.
He could force field.
He could save it if he wants to, and he's just gonna chase his things away. San is massively ahead right now because he's teching into Phoenixes, and he's forced life on 2 bases.
Yes.
I'm sorry, yes.
The thing is, like, he has so many Zerglings right now. If he
It's a force field!
Oh, no! That is horrible for him! He's not only going to lose the sentry, he has to warp in
He
units.
has to recall, I think. He needs to recall. He's got the energy.
With their 22 Zerglings now streaming down the ramp at the top left, taking down the pylon. This is awesome for Curious. So much aggression and so difficult for San to defend against.
Yeah. As far as probe count goes, though, it's in favor of San 41 to 40, and he looks like he's not going to be able to get a single additional one of these. The rest of the Lings, though, I cannot believe he needs a force field here. What is he doing?
God.
That could have been worse, but it was still pretty bad. He needs to get another sentry out ASAP. I can't believe he went the Zealot there.
He doesn't have enough force fields, Wolf. He does not have enough of them, and the Lings are now able to run into the main base if he wants to. He holds the gap, though. He's holding the gap. As you said, it could have been much worse, but it was still a very, very bad situation. Something that should never happen to you.
Right, and now San is stopped Phoenix Russian temporarily. He's waiting to find out what we're going to see from Curious. He expects probably to see a Spire, that's why we see the Phoenixes coming out here. But now, because he's only made 2, he's flexible. He's like, alright, Curious, you're going to go ahead with the Spire as most Zerg players would in a situation like this, or you're going to go into Hydras. I'm ready for both. I only made 2 Phoenixes, so that makes you reluctant. I can reproduce Phoenixes if I scout that you're going Spire. What's he going to do? Lair's done.
Lair's done, and he is going to reveal his tech in just a second. He could go into the Hydra then, going into the 3rd first. He has the Spore Crawlers ready.
Overlord speed is on the way as well, not very telling of either way.
Yeah, Overlord speed is something that you always want to have when you're up against Phoenixes. It makes it much easier for you to maneuver with your Overlords. You can also later on use them for the scouting information.
That drone was probably going to make the tech, but it's an infestation pit. Swarm Host, quite popular, but he could try to use Infestor to help out against the error. Swarm Host is much more common in this matchup on 2 bases.
Yeah, the thing is, if he goes, I would actually expect him to also get a Hydra then if he wants to go into Swarm Host. But on the other hand, the upgrades that he researches are actually the melee upgrades, which also doesn't make a lot of sense for the Swarm Hosts. So in this situation, this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I mean,
he might go for the build that, you know, with the extra queens that we now see, he might go in, and he gets even more, he's going into Ultralisks here.
Yeah, looks like it. He's probably going to grab a few Vipers as well, of course, with this. The Zealot's a little bit isolated right now, but good force fields actually zone out the Lings, makes it a much better trade for San.
Yeah. More and more queens are building, +2/+2 upgrades now for melee. This is going to be an Ultralisk build. I would not be surprised to see the Hive Tech started right after the Infestation Pit is done, which is the case right now.
Yep, just looks like he wants to wait for a little bit more gas, and he has it, so you'll probably start it very soon. It looks like the Queen is finishing at the place where he wants to build it. Once that Queen's done, he'll start it. And
3rd base is ready, so he should just get the gas there. And he's getting more and more Zerglings. He's really heavily relying on the Lings here. But so far, the Infestation Pit has not been useful at all.
Yeah, he has. There's the high finally, right as the Phoenix is coming to scout it, unfortunately for him.
I'm a little bit surprised that he waited this long. He actually lost a few precious seconds here.
And I wonder what the response is going to be for San. He already has double Robo, so this is great for him because if it is, in fact, going to be Ultralisk, which it starts to seem like nothing else makes sense, what else would he go for this?
There is no other way, no other thing that he can actually pull off.
But this is great that he has the double Robo because he can start double Immortals. Uh-oh, this is bad.
Yeah, this is really bad, and those sentries are very exposed. The Lings could actually start to commit even more, but he has a nice donut that saves all of the sentries, and now that the first Colossus is out, Curious has to retreat.
Few units lost there, though, and he wastes all of his energy.
Coming back into the strategy, I want to take a little bit of time to explain this to everyone who's a little bit newer to this matchup of StarCraft 2 in general. What the reasoning behind the strategy is that with all those queens out there, as soon as you get the Ultralisk, you can transfuse the Ultralisk and also your queen. So you have an army that is really good at surviving. The big problem that you have is if your opponent is going to counter you or hit you before you are ready. The queens are very good against Colossi too. They have a very long-range anti-air attack, which is being triggered when you're facing a Colossus. And with all those extra queens that he's building right now, he has a very, very solid army that is supported by Lings who don't cost gas. Queens also don't cost gas. well, the entire gas that he has can go into Ultilis, and you can really see him. He had 2,000 gas a second ago and is now going into +3/+3.
And the Cavern will start.
He has a massive upgrade advantage over his opponent.
Yeah, he does. San has not even started +2. He's starting his Twilight Council now at the 14-15 minute mark.
There's so many things to be said about this Ultilis strategy. We can't actually touch on all those points. We might be able to talk about it a little bit later after this game. But for now, this is the idea that he has, going to a massive amount of queens, massive upgrades, and then start the Ultilis Cabin, which we can see on the production tab
this
right now.
This is still, though, not the most comfortable place for Curious. He's way down in supply, and that's obviously going to change when he starts to put that bank into the Ultras, but he has to deal with this aggression first. He's going to have to send Lings home here, multiple Zealot Warpens in the main, and now the Twilight Council's done, he can continue with those upgrades.
Very good position for him, though. Those Zealots were never able to get to the mineral line. That's where you want to be. If you warp in a few Zealots, you always want to position them between the mineral patches so that only a very limited amount of Zerglings can attack you.
Or, you know, you go for the tech, obviously, is another option. But yeah, the safest place to fight against the Lings is between the mineral line. If the Lings are away, or if he doesn't have enough, that's when you go for the tech.
You know, what San is doing right now, actually retreating, that really helps Curious. Curious needs the time to get the Ultilisks out. And with the Zerglings, he's trying to buy that time with the counterattacks.
Yeah. Again, there's no recall here. The Nexus is definitely going to go down. No way you can save it. And goodbye, Nexus. Lings get away.
That's brilliant for Curious here. Not only does he delay the attack of his opponent, but he also makes sure that there is no third base for some time, that he is ahead in economy, and now the Ultilisks have been started.
Yep. I'm actually trying to search for that that Mothership Core. I just cannot believe it was not with his army, but I guess it's possible it's somewhere else.
Well, wherever it is, he could have tried to recall his units if it was with the army. Now the queens are actually going to take next week another one, taking down one of those phoenixes. And the queen count is at 13, guys. At 13, and he's about to have +3/+3 as well as continuous plating.
This is obviously a great deterrent, not only against the Colossi and for the Transfuses, but if San wanted to switch into Void Rays, which is also a great response to Ultras, he has the queens already ready for that too. So Curious with that Nexus Snipe is very far ahead, I feel, in this game, not only because of the economy, but because tech-wise, he's got the great composition that he's been building for such a long time in this game.
Queens are really strong against Void Rays. Void Rays are one of the most dangerous units in the arsenal of Protoss in this matchup at this point, but still, with all those queens out, you don't have to be afraid of Void Rays at all, because the Prismatic Alignment doesn't do extra damage against your queens. So you're in a position where you can do so much.
Yeah.
And right now we even have the Infestors to back this up. So the first thing that's going to happen right now is when we have the first engagement, what Curious is trying to do is go into the death ball of the Protoss player, go in with 1 or 2 fungals, and as soon as the Ultras close the distance, the army, the ground army of San is going to evaporate.
Oh, but this is going to be something that's pretty easy to deflect in the main base. He's got a spine there as well. He even turns around with the Warp Prism. He's going to go in there once he sees the Zerg army move out. He may remax in the Zerg main when they have a fight. The upgrades are, as you already mentioned, way ahead for Curious. He's at 3-3 versus 0-2 right now. He hasn't even started +3. There's a Dark Shrine, which can be quite useful.
This is actually going to be so epic. With 6 Immortals and now double Immortal also being produced. You pointed those 2 robotics out earlier. He can really switch his composition up, and he does. So with all these Immortals, this is going to be an epic battle. This is all about positioning and all about transfuses, micro, and how you engage the battle.
He's going for the spawning pool here in the main base with those +2 Zealots. He saw the Zerg army move out. The Zerg army hesitating a little bit. He sends a few Lings back into the main, but sends most of the army out still to that cliff on the right side.
He needs to rebuild it, and he does so right away. Here come the Zerglings. And of course, they have such a massive upgrade lead that they can just kill those with an instant.
The Ultra brings that Mothership Core over.
He comes over, and here we go. The Immortals are doing a fair amount of damage. The Time Warp is already good. Force fields are useless against the Ultilisks.
The wall is so beautiful here for San that the army of Curious is melting in seconds. He's not even able to fight the units for a moment. And this is looking terrible for Curious. A great defense by San. The mountain, once again, he holds. The Remax is good with 8 more Ultras. But this is the momentum San needed. He needed to win this fight. He needed to crush it, and he did.
There was no reason for Curious to attack in this position. The positioning of San was beautiful. All those Immortals were in the back, shielded by the gateway units, and this is exactly what you want. With good targeting, he took down the Ultilis way too fast. Even the Transfuse couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah, the gateways as well were in such a great spot. He's going for a little counterattack here, though.
He needs to have something to take out these few... Well, to take out the Colossi that we have, I can't believe that he didn't build at least 1 or 2 Vipers in this game.
Yeah. None at all, and he's probably shooting himself in the foot for it. DT Warpins at home would be a great way to defend against those Lings. He wants to fight the Ultras now where they're unsupported. There's no Infestors nearby.
The thing is, as soon as those Colossi are gone, he can remax with Zerglings if he has the lava to do so. And then the entire army on the ground can't do a lot. Another engagement here, but look at the target firing with those Immortals.
The Immortals do too much damage before the Infested Terrans come out. Son is ahead in supply here. The game's not over yet, but he's got the Ultralisk Cavern on the loose.
And suddenly now we have the advantage of Curious just melting away not only the army itself, but also the upgrades. +3 has been halfway completed by Sun, and he's moving in with all those Colossi still completely uncontested.
And the DT Warpins at home are defending against his base, as you guys don't see it on camera, but he's warping in DTs over at the third base to take out the Ultra. Bait and Archon as well.
The third base is still alive, and suddenly it is Sun who has the better income. A base for Curious at the bottom left is not ready just yet, and he's trying to remax, but he's already down to 76 supply.
His tech is a big problem as well. He's going to lose his hive here, resetting everything. +3 finishes, as you were mentioning before. Son has almost double his opponent's supply. Going in here is going to work on the Overlords. This army that you see for Curious is the last one that you're going to see. And can Son, the Mountain, actually push through? Fake some Immortals to tank the damage. So smart. There's way too much firepower here. GG!
AZUBU was victorious, and this is not only true for this map, but for the entire match. StarTale has been taken out. Only one win today. AZUBU takes it with a 4-1.
Really, really well played by Son today. And I think the nickname The Mountain is just really going to stick with how well he's been able to defend. You were so right, though. Curious should not have engaged that position where there were all the Immortals at the back, not only shielded by gateway units, but by gateways themselves. The Ultras barely even got a single swipe off of that army.
You know, he didn't have a need to attack as long as you can make sure that your opponent doesn't take a fourth base. You expand over and over again. You gather up the lava. You make sure that you have a few Vipers for your composition so that you can use the Blinding Cloud. You can use Abduct against your opponent's Colossi. And you can prepare for a transition. Just picture Curious banking a huge amount of minerals and gas, and after a fight, remaxing with Mutalisks only against an opponent who has Immortals, mass Immortals, and a massive amount of Colossi.
This is a pretty big blow to StarTale. You know, it's not as impactful as if AZUBU had lost here, but they lost with a pretty poor indicator. Yeah. So it really hurts their spot and their standing. Even though they are at the top, they are going to be pushed down quite a bit by this.
Yeah. What Curious really thought going into this fight, I feel, is that he thought with his upgrade lead, he would be able to push through. He was massively ahead in the upgrades. He had maxed out upgrades for the ground forces, and he did not think for a second that, well, that Sun would be able to crush this force in the way he did.
Yeah. That was a great hold by Son, though. You know, he had the wall set up. He knew what he needed to do. He was hoping. He was like, I hope Curious attacks into my wall right here because that's going to give me the advantage I need. I'm going to fight on my terrain, on my turf, on my mountain.
He used the buildings to his advantage. He had the units set up in a way that all those gateway units were shielding not only the Colossi but also the Immortals. There was just no way for Curious to get close enough. He tried to transfuse, and he transfused as much as he could. But when you have like 4 Immortals shooting at one Ultralisk, you can't transfuse this fast. Suddenly, you just shift the target with the rest of the Immortals, and all the Ultralisks are gone.
And even the Colossi at the back were getting great shots off. So that's where the Queens started to fall. The Colossi were hitting the Queens, and the Immortals were hitting the Ultralisk, exactly what he wanted.
That was really a bad engagement for Curious, and it lost him the game. He was in a good position, but at this point it was just too much. He could have taken more bases, trying to get a transition ready, but it was never the case. And now, of course, we have an interview with not only the coach, but also with the man of the hour, being asked of how he feels. He just says that everything went as planned today.
Yep.
They were all killed in the first play day. They all killed once on the second. And he really hoped that they could all kill today. So they sent out Symbol as their first player. They sent out Life, he's talking about StarTale now, of course, and said that Life is a very, very strong player. And apparently the coach of AZUBU asked yesterday around, and specifically San, if he thinks that he can take out Life. San told him, no, it is not going to work, he won't be able to win against Life. But the coach asked him again today, and then suddenly San changed his statement and said like, yeah, I actually feel I can take him out, and this is exactly what happened today.
Really, really well done by San. It's a crazy story that we had San taking these players out like this.
You know, I'm actually a little bit surprised that the coach is stating something like, we wanted to all kill today against a team like StarTale. That's a bold statement to make.
한번 해보겠습니다.
멋있어요.
Yeah. Basically just asking him here, like to imitate how he asked his coach. So he was just like, give me a shot, coach. Like, that was kind of weird, but I guess that's how he asked him.
Now, of course, we have an interview with the MVP, the man of the hour, the guy who took down Life and Curious.
San is the mountain. When he was preparing for the preliminaries, he was actually extremely confident. After he made Code A, the game didn't really, come to him. He had a hard time practicing in the house. But yesterday, he actually regained his confidence that he could defeat Life, and that's why he was sent out today.
Yeah, he played well, especially in the game against Curious. He set everything up well. I certainly feel that Curious kind of hung himself, though.
Yeah, he walked into a trap.
And you couldn't see him on screen. He was not happy. He really looked very, very bummed out.
When he was playing Curious, he thought that it was a Nidus network play that he was going to be seeing. But obviously it ended up being Ultraless. He was relieved, was able to defeat the build. Again, Curious kind of defeated himself in a way there, but San prepared well with the wall. He knew exactly how to hold that third base the second time.
Yeah, he just baited Curious out. Curious moved in, had no chance, and was not in a position where he could remax with the unit composition that really works for him.
It's been a year since I've won in the Team League, so he's talking to his fans now, and he says, I'm going to get more wins in the GSTL in the future, so look forward to his matches. The standard answer.
가추원으로 불릴 때 그 기분 괜찮으십니까? 어떠십니까?
가끔
San being a little bit nervous to answer immediately.
Yeah, he's still in the limelight here, being the MVP for his team, taking out two of the best players of the StarTale roster.
People actually sometimes call him God-san because he has this godly mode and appears very rarely. And he hopes the God mode comes to him.
Look at the coach! The guy is falling apart.
When he gets into God mode, no one can defeat him. That's the San Mountain.
The coach is calling BS right there.
Yeah, I think so. He's like, nobody calls you God, San. He's like, that did never happen.
Oh my god.
Interview with Symbol, the starting player.
Son just pulled a tad from How I Met Your Mother, trying to come up with nicknames for himself.
Yeah.
That usually doesn't work. Symbol is now talking a little bit about what's going on here. A long time ago, he actually told the coach that he wants to be the player playing against StarTale, starting against StarTale. So he wanted to all-kill today. Yeah, but he's a little bit disappointed that he couldn't really all-kill, but he's happy that his team at least was able to win.
Yeah, AZUBU really taking some names these past two matches. They're on fire.
That shows a lot of confidence if you think about it. Coming out against StarTale and saying you want to all-kill is like, guys, think about what they have on their roster. I mean, those guys are really, really strong. They could have a surprising statement. Very bold for Koreans especially.
Yeah, they could not get the all kill, but on the other hand, they got 3 points, so it's only 1 point away from what they wanted. He's asking, of course, into the rain, any future goals for the GSTL. Perfect strategy. We're going to defeat the next team. They were the last place, and they've gone all the way up to first. He's a little bit surprised about that.
Well, he shouldn't be too surprised because they are the first team to play on the third play day, so I think that plays a role there.
He says thank you, of course, to San, the other players who plan to come out today. And they hope they can win miraculously like this again. Look at how many fans are at the studio for this match today. It's insane.
A lot of fans today. And, well, one of the things that we want to point out while we are closing this broadcast, of course, is that there is actually a little bit of a raffle going on. ESF is being awesome here, and every fan who is at the studio and currently listening to us can go to the information desk and sign up for the raffle. They just have to leave the name, and later on there are some collector's editions of Heart of the Swarm being raffled out, and this is going on for, I think, 2 weeks?
2 weeks, yeah, and when they run out of collector's editions, they're just going to start giving out regular editions of the game for a little while as well, so don't miss on that. If you're in Seoul, if you're coming to Seoul, you're traveling, you want to come watch the GSTL. I think it's GSTL specifically for this giveaway. So come on the weekends on Friday and Saturday and get those raffles.
We're having a quick look at the match results of the day. AZUBU being able to clinch out a victory against StarTale. He can see what happened. We had Symbol with 2 wins. Live, the only player who was able to win a map for Team StarTale. And then San was able to take the last 2 points for Team AZUBU.
Yep, taking out 2 great Zerg players, Life and Curious, gives them a +3 finish here. And we're going to take a look, of course, at the rest of the results, the final tab.
Yeah, the standings. AZUBU, the team who did very well in the preseason, they went all the way to the final. Then suddenly they got all killed in the first play day of the regular season. But right now they are back on track with 2 wins against strong opponents. They are, at least for now, the #1 team in the league.
Yep,
Also
this puts them tied with StarTale, actually.
Yep.
Exactly, with +3/+3. Both of them with no warnings means they're tied for first place.
Axiom Acer, on the other hand, as well as Prime, MVP, and also LGIM could still overtake them.
Yeah, very easy. Axiom Acer, if they take a win, of course, they'll have the perfect 3-0, and that'll give them the first place spot if they win.
Exactly, and also for the other teams, they could still achieve a better indicator than Team AZUBU. But you can really see that there is a little bit of a trend forming up in the rankings already. And don't forget about tomorrow's game. Axiom Acer, the #1 team, or the #2 team today, they are up against FX Open, who had a very tough season start.
Yeah, the very rough FX Open start, but they're considered to be the best team outside of this season in the past, so we'll see if they can take out Axiom Acer. This is going to be really close, I think.
2012 was definitely the year of FX Open, but now we are in 2013. It's a new start, not only because it's a new year, but we have now Heart of the Swarm. And so far, FX Open really disappointed a little bit, not only the fans, but also themselves. And they said, we want to make sure that we will win the next few matches, that we will be on top once again, achieve the playoffs. Tomorrow they have to prove it against Axiom Acer, a team who hasn't lost yet this season.
Yeah. Well, that's it for us today. Make sure that you follow the 2 of us on Twitter. He is at Caldor, I am at ProxyWolf. See you guys tomorrow, 5 hours early. Be there or be square. Bye-bye.
Focus, drive, gain, relief, triumph.